right. Welcome in, everybody, to the JJ and Pug Show. Recording from the Highland Communities podcast studios.
There we go.
Dude, you guys have no idea how long it took us to get to this point. This is getting to be a very frustrating fact for me.
Listen, if you're going to start a podcast, just know it's not easy. There is a lot of stuff that goes on behind here, that, like with computers and cables and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. It's crazy.
And for any of you who do start one and say, hey, it's not that hard, shut up.
Yeah.
All right? I'm trying here.
Yeah. This is not easy, man. But you're doing a good job. But it's, I don't know. There's so many things going on over here. It's crazy. There's a lot of buttons and all kinds of stuff.
I know, dude. There's way more than I thought that there would be to this. But at the same time, it is fun when I know when it's working.
Yeah.
But this is actually probably one of my biggest, well, not my biggest flaws, but definitely one of my flaws, is that when things don't work, I get so unreasonably frustrated and angry.
Like flustered almost?
Oh,
like,
just want to throw crap through a window, put my fist through the wall. Like, I get so angry. It's stuff that I can't fix.
Yeah.
Like if it's like a electronical thing, it's like, let's say a fuse blew. Okay, I can replace the fuse. But if there's something in there that I can't I can't figure it out. Oh, dude, I get so angry.
Control Alt Delete, buddy. That's how you start over.
Exactly. Restart.
Restart.
Sir, have you shut your computer off and restarted it? I mean, that's basically about all I got. That's to the extent of which I can do tech support.
Yep, that's true.
All right, so put it up over here on the notes. I've had a few people ask me since we started this, and I feel like we covered it in the beginning, but maybe we didn't. Why me and you? Why me and you on the show? Because honestly, when you think about the people that we associate with,
yeah,
what is it? 5 couples?
Yeah, maybe
that we associate with, and
total, yeah,
yeah, and easily the friends that we had, but not together. But you were long friends with Kara.
Yeah,
I'm long friends with Carl and Kara, right? So if we were to take that out, we don't have like a big group of like communal friends that we hang out with all the time,
not even close, right? No.
So tell me if you agree with this or not. Whenever anybody asks me, I always say that the reason why this exists is me and Jason and our families and a few other friends were sitting around a fire at Canyon Lake last June.
Yep.
And we're just talking, just having a conversation about stuff. And you said, dude, we should do a podcast. And I was like, yeah, that'd be fun. and I didn't really do anything about it. But I tell people the reason why, the impetus, if you will, as to the driving force behind this starting is you. Because you're the one that kept saying, no, seriously, dude, let's do it. Let's do it.
Dude, I don't know why. I look at it like you and I, we think a lot alike, but I think, or we get to the same result the same way, but our thought process is different. And it's just, I don't know, like people have told us, you guys, they'll listen to us talk about some topic and it's like, you guys should have a podcast. And I'm like, it's kind of like a funny joke at first. Yeah. And I'm like, no, we should, dude. That'd be cool. Like, why not? What do we got to lose? And then it took us a while, right? We farted around with a logo in like October last year and drug our feet a little bit. Then we're like, maybe. And
legitimately 6 months. It was legitimately 6 months from that fire to January 6th or whatever it is we released.
Yeah.
It,
and we were like, let's, why not? It's 2024. All these New Year's resolution things.
Yeah,
so it's like, what's the worst that could happen? We get to sit here and talk and nobody listens. At least we're still talking.
Like, we got 50 people a week listening to us, baby.
Right. All over the world.
Larger than that. I want people to know. Yeah, dude. We had people in freaking Australia, Canada, Switzerland.
The Swiss, bro.
It's insane. No, but I just wanted to basically let anybody know that's asked that question before. I want to take some credit for this, but really, this is Jason. Jason's the one that's been pushing me. And the reason why I want to give you your metaphorical flowers here.
Yes, I'll take it.
Is because I had been telling my wife for years I wanted to do something like this. I've been saying it for years. Long before I even knew you, I was saying that. And she was always saying, well, why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you doing it? Just go do it. And I was like, because it is a little bit intimidating.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So, now that we're doing it, it's even more challenging in ways than I thought it would be. Just the technological aspect of it.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be easy just to throw yourself on a microphone and start talking and put it on a platform, but it's not. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it behind just to get an episode to start. We started 50 minutes behind today. We were supposed to start at 6, and all of a sudden, all this stuff just kind of rolls off, and there's nothing we can do. It's out of our control.
Yeah, I don't even know how to fix any of this.
Yeah, well, hopefully this episode even works, right?
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah. We'll find out. Could be like the first time we used this thing when everything was going double speed. Yeah, and I couldn't figure out how that happened.
It's a big piece. It's not a big piece of equipment, but it's just a crazy piece of equipment. It's got a lot of technology in it. So.
Yeah, for real. But I really just wanted to tell anybody that this is because Jason did a great job of pushing and say, hey, no, let's do it. Let's do it for real. Let's do it. And he's over here shrugging his
I'm
shoulders.
like, I felt like it was like both of us. I felt like, because it was just something we both had talked about. And
Yeah.
it was like, well, that'd be actually a cool idea. And usually when you, like, okay, for instance, Bowen, right? If he's in this group, he would not want to do this. Like putting yourself on a microphone, and it is still weird to me. I mean, I know we've done a handful of episodes now. We're getting there, but when I hear myself on the radio, coming through my car,
yes,
it's
pretty cool.
It is, but it's strange. You're like, holy crap, I sound like weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the thing is I remember the very first time I was in a band in high school, right? And I remember the very first time hearing myself recorded, being like, oh, I sound like that.
What?
That's how I. That's not the way I sound, is it?
No, because you don't sound like you hear your voice.
I know.
Like, as how I hear me, I don't sound like that.
And that was, like I said, so when you say I sound weird, I'm like, okay, so it's not just me. I remember then being told by a bunch of people in the industry, like, it's like psychologically impossible to truly like the sound of your voice. And I'm like, no, guys, I like the sound of my voice. I hear myself talk all the time. And then I hear myself recorded. I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah, but then people will be like, dude, you got a voice for radio. You're doing a great job. And I'm like, I never would have thought, like, I don't even, like, I've been told I have a face for radio.
Dang it! That was a joke. I was going to say that. Dang it.
I saw you light up. I had to beat you to the punchline.
Dude, I was so ready to use that line. Dang it.
Oh, sorry, I took that. I should have set you up and just let you smack it out, dude.
No, but it is true. I've been told I have a face for radio often.
Yeah, I'm like, but I've never been told I have a voice. But when you hear yourself coming through the radio, or the tuner in the car, you're like, this is strange.
Hey, man, don't worry about it. Call it the radio, all right? We're going to call it the radio.
Radio.
We got a radio show here that happens to be broadcast via the internet, download only, and not live.
One day.
One day for sure. All right, so anybody that's asked that question now, you've got the answer. Speaking of Bowen, you know what we should do?
You want to test out our technology?
Yeah, we should try out our new tech here and see if we can give Bowen a call here.
He's going to love this.
We're going to throw this on pause for real quick while we do that.
Hello?
Hey, dude, can you hear me?
Hey. Yeah.
Oh, for whatever reason, dude, my phone was not working. I could not figure out what was going on, and you were on the top of the list of people to call and try and figure out whether or not it worked.
Oh, wow. Like for your podcast thing?
No, just my phone.
Oh, jeez. Weird.
No, I'm just kidding.
Absolutely for the podcast, Bowen. You're on the podcast now.
Oh,
we knew it. We knew the first person that was going to be a guest on the phone had to be you.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
gosh.
paused. I'm frozen.
You're speechless?
I feel the pressure, yeah. Can we wrap
pressure.
this up?
All right, dude. Yeah, we're not going to hold you to it if you don't want to be on there. We just wanted to make sure you were guest number one on the phone.
Because now we have the capability.
Nice. I'm honored, but yeah, I'd rather you find someone else that can talk on the radio.
Dude, so I talking to Dallin, and he's like, dude, you really got to get Bowen on the show. I really want to hear him on the. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, he hates it. He doesn't want to be on there.
Oh, dude, I can't. I it's my worst fear. Like, I was at a magic show, and no, I'm serious. I was at a magic show with my sister. Dead serious. Penn and Teller, actually. She's good friends with them. And they started looking through the crowd to find someone to come help them. I kid you not. I acted like I had Down syndrome, so they wouldn't select me. And it worked. It worked. He literally skipped over me. He's like, okay, we're not going to do that. So, yeah. On the spot
How
stuff.
did you act like you had Down
bro,
syndrome?
I had the
Can we talk
underbite
about
going.
that?
I had the underbite going. My eyes were wandering, like the whole nine. Like, I pulled it off.
Are you sure you want to admit this to be a recorded audience?
I'm fine, yeah.
Yes, no, it's totally fine. This just makes it even better. Oh my gosh, that is great.
Yeah.
You know what? For you over here being concerned about how this was going to turn out, I think it turned out pretty dang good.
Yeah, I think it turned out really well, Bo, and I'm proud of
Hey,
you. You came through.
I'm a number one fan, so I'm pleased to be the number one caller on the phone. So.
All right, dude. Well, thanks, Bowen, for being such a good sport.
All right. See you guys.
Dude, he really said.
Dude, you can't make that up, dude. I love how he's like, no, I had the underbite and everything, dude. Like,
and he was not walking away from it.
I'm proud of you, Bowen. Well done, dude. You stuck to your guns there, dude.
Good job, Bowen, for real. Very, very happy that you came through. Came through in a big way.
That was better
man.
than we expected it to be. So
way better.
That works out. That's good.
I figured it was going to be just like the way it started. I'm frozen. I don't know what to say.
I'm just going to say, don't know what to do with my hands, you know?
Oh, man, that's a good pull. Well, I mean, what's funny is anybody that knows Bowen, he is not a shy, unable to talk person. He is the guy that the call ended with. Funny stories, great personality. Yeah. Good on you, Bowen.
down. I'm gonna make him do that for me. I want to know exactly when I see you again, Bo. We're gonna TikTok that, bro. Coming soon to the JJ Pug Show on
Absolutely.
TikTok. We gotta get Bowen to show us how to get skipped at a magic show.
And the quickest way for our podcast to get canceled.
Sorry, but not sorry.
Yes. Hashtag.
Yeah.
By the way, I also wanted to, just because I love this little guy, Rex, thanks for listening, buddy. I appreciate you listening to the show. Rex is my nephew.
Oh, nice.
He's the one that
Rex.
cannot wait to give out our cards.
Yeah, they're
which
coming.
we will be having.
That's
coming.
right. They're coming. Should
That's
be here
gonna-
this week.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I know that they're going to look cool and it's going to be awesome. But it's also, I don't know that I've ever seen a podcast card.
Gotta do it. It's advertising, bro. It's got the QR code on the back. We'll just leave them places and people can pick it up and say, oh, what's this?
What's this all about?
If it works, great. We get 10 more people. We get 10 more people. It works for me. I don't care.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll take that. I'll take anything that we can get right now.
Yeah, why not?
All right. So last time we were here, we were talking with Coach. And for everybody that got to listen to good old Coach Johnson, I hope you enjoyed that. I know that I enjoyed talking to him. And he had actually told me that he was he was given why can't
Inspired.
I think of inspired. See, this is what I can say. I can get random crap, but I can get totally thrown by a single word. I cannot remember a single word. Inspired. We inspired Coach to start his own YouTube channel. When that comes up, we'll make sure that we give a link and
Heck yeah.
let everybody else know. His plan is to do something along the lines of, bringing in other coaches and other teachers and in ways that they think that they can help improve their influence on the youth, as well as just telling funny stories. And
Well, I'm sure they have a ton, especially get some teachers that have been around a long time and they've kind of seen the evolution of change with kids and
Absolutely.
from back in the day to now and how different it is for them to be teachers. So
I mean, it's just crazy to think that for me, if I'd had a child my senior year, he would have graduated by now, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how long Coach was teaching he's coaching that entire interim and before that. So he's been around. He knows what he's doing.
yeah, and the evolution of kids has changed a lot since we were in school.
I mean, how many times have you and I just sent back and forth little videos of, class of 2003.
So much fun,
Dude,
stuff.
yeah, stuff like that. We're like, oh my gosh, things are so different.
Not one kid with a phone in their hand. It's weird.
Not a single
And if
one.
they did, it was a candy bar phone with the snake game only. And if they were lucky, T9 word.
Oh,
no, yes.
That was where I was at.
That's
man.
where it came
I
through.
honestly think that we've downgraded since then. Since we got rid of T9 texting, we have downgraded.
Yeah, it
Because
did.
you could text in your pocket. I wouldn't even have to look at my phone. I knew exactly what I was writing. I knew exactly what I was saying. No need to look at the screen.
Yep.
I remember that was actually my biggest concern when I got a touchscreen phone. Being like, yeah, but I'm not going to be able to see what I'm doing. Like, I'm not going to be able to look away and know exactly what I'm texting. Like, now I'm actually have to look at the
Funny
screen.
how that used to work, how easy that was for
I know.
us.
And it's crazy how that became a concern of mine because now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, dude, if I were to get a T9 in front of me, it would take me a minute to get back into that.
Well, that swipe to text thing now is kind of nice, where it does a little bit of that too, but it's definitely not the same.
No, it's not. But the whole reason I'm saying that is because back then I wanted to talk to you. I went down to Tucson to get my passport renewed. And dude, okay, I know that this is incorrect, but I firmly believe when it comes to beautiful natural settings of cities, Tucson has got to be near the top. The surrounding area, the mountains, the desert down there is freaking gorgeous. I mean, Mount Lemmon, which just sits there on the north end, is a ski resort, right? And you can get to the top of Mount Lemmon and look down on a desert city. But what the crap is wrong with that city?
Dude, I hate Tucson.
It's the worst.
And I mean no disrespect to people that live there. I just don't like that city for nothing.
See, my thing is I go down there. Every time I go down there, I'm thinking, man, I want to explore Tucson. This is a beautiful place. And then I get off the freeway and I'm like, I freaking hate this place.
No, you don't.
No.
Get back on the interstate and get out of town.
Dude, the streets there are terrible. The speed limits are awful. There's a stoplight that's not synced. So if you're on Speedway Boulevard, which is the main drag, guess what? You're stopping every mile. You're not going to get that 35 miles an hour because that's the speed limit and be able to go from east to west. You're stopping every freaking mile. And not only that, but like, okay, we think that we have a homeless population issue here in Phoenix. Oh, dude.
Is it bad?
Oh, dude.
I'd stay away from you downtown area, all that down there.
The first off-ramp I got off of, on the overpass, Tent City under the overpass. And I'm not one that looks at it and says, oh, you idiots. I look at it and say, man, we got a real problem with housing and the ability to afford a home.
Oh, for sure.
That's exactly how I feel about it. And, I'm not going to say what I do, but most of you know what I do. And that is, that's a big part of what I do. And, but I look at it and say, we got a problem with the fact that people can't afford to live in a home. They can't afford to live in an apartment. Rents are super high. I mean, dude, could you imagine what we have people have to pay right now for a crappy apartment and rent?
No, I think about my kids who are, I've got a girl who's a junior, going to be a senior next year and have to go out into the world. And it's like, actually, I just saw a thing that said like just under half of the like adult kids are still living at home.
Yeah.
Because of this stuff. Like, where are they supposed to go when a 2-bedroom apartment's $1,900 or $1,900?
$1,900. When we were getting started, dude, I remember one of my very first jobs. Well, it wasn't my first job. It was probably my third or fourth job. But it was right when I was around 22, 23 years old. I got this job, and I was leasing apartments. And I remember I was leasing a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in Mesa for $390 a month. Okay? And I remember like going in and be like, hey, yeah, we can get you in, under $400 a month, and you can have a place to stay for a year. A year lease under $400 a month. That same apartment now is like $1,600 a month.
Yeah, it's insane.
That is 4 times as expensive. And let me tell you what, it is not nicer. It's not nicer.
No.
And yet somehow they're charging 4 times as much money.
I think when I got out of high school, I roomed with 3 other guys, so there were 4 of us, and we lived in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with an Arizona room, a jacuzzi, a backyard. Was $1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month
In Gilbert, in the middle of Gilbert, like I'm talking like dead smack just from downtown Gilbert.
Yep.
Beautiful area. And it was right by Freestone Park for anyone that knows where it's at. All right
Great
there.
spot. Love
right
that
there.
spot.
Perfect. It was great, but it was $250 each. Sure, why not? No big deal.
Yeah, I know that, but you probably were like, okay, I can make that work. I can make that work.
I mean, it was still
for
good to
us,
work.
Yeah, but for us, it was like at that time we were in the recession.
Yeah.
We were in the recession. So that was like, okay, you got to make it work. There's jobs out there, but it was also affordable. If you got a job, you could afford it.
I think I was selling phones in the mall.
Oh, dude, that's
doing
big time back in the day, dude. Walking up with a shirt and tie on.
Oh, shirt and tie, yeah.
Guarantee you're wearing like a red maroon button-up shirt for sure, right?
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
that was the time, dude.
Absolutely, dude. So, I think I was selling T-Mobile, and we went to Singular, and it was AT&T. It was all over the place.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That was a job back in the day, dude. That was a job, doing the phone kiosk at the mall.
Yep.
But no, so anyway, I look at the homeless population and think more of that. I think more of we've got an affordability problem, not so much of we got a laziness problem. It's probably it's a mixture of a bunch of things. I'm not going to pretend to be the sociologist that knows all the solutions.
Right.
But I will say this, when I go down to Tucson and I'm driving down Speedway, I'm done with my passport. One thing I will say, Tucson has some delicious Mexican food.
That is the one thing about Tucson. They got great food.
Oh, dude.
They got some really good food.
Some real good food.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm coming back. And I got to get gas because I'm getting ready to drive. It's not that far. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hours back to my house. So I go to the gas station. First thing I get hit up for as soon as I get out is, hey, man, you got any money? I'm getting ready to go to rehab.
It drives me freaking out.
And I'm like, dude, I legitimately do not carry cash for this reason. I do not carry cash for this reason. So I'm like, sorry, I don't carry cash. And I was going to say, can I just fill up your gas tank? Because that's something I would do. But I also know that this person's been here for a minute. I'm not the first person they've asked.
I can't do it.
So I didn't. I said, sorry, I don't carry any cash. Best of luck to you. So I go in, get myself a monster.
Right.
Get back to the truck.
The Lord's nectar.
Yes. We were just talking about how earlier I spilled a little bit, and the disappointment on my face, I'm like, oh, I dropped it. That's wasted. It's gone. It's never coming back. So then I get in the truck, and I'm getting ready to leave. And there's 3 or 4 guys pushing shopping carts up and down the sidewalk. So I got to wait for them to pass. One dude was wearing a bikini, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Dude wearing a bikini.
Perfect.
And let me tell you what, bikinis are not cut for men. Okay? So, for those of you who know what I mean by this.
Did you snap a picture so we can put it on the web? Just so people can have a visual of what you're talking about. We have social media era. You missed this, Puck. Come on.
We would have gotten banned from every social media platform we're on.
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. So, but dude, I was like, okay, this guy's wearing a bikini. Perfect. And I'm like, I don't know the solution. I don't have the solution here for Tucson. Tucson is very different than Phoenix, very in lots of different ways. But when I look at that town, every time I go there, I'm like, dude, this place is so gorgeous. Those mountains that surround that city are
kind
so
of that little valley.
Yeah,
sure.
it's so pretty. But gosh, man, for a city as old as it is, they have done nothing to really improve that area. They've only made it worse with the way that they don't fix those roads. The roads are always under construction, too.
Oh, yeah, always.
Potholes filled
Potholes
everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, and it's just like, I know I'm not the only one that thinks this. There's a million people that live here.
Right.
What? I mean, how is it? Maybe am I elitist? And am I an elitist?
No.
Because I'm like,
I'm sure they feel the same way, but I don't know where their money's going in that city, but it's definitely not in the road work. That's for
no,
sure.
dude. Oh, the infrastructure of that place drives me nuts. And I've got a good buddy of mine that lives there. He used to live in Tucson. Now he just lives on the outskirts of Marana. And every time I go down, I ask him like, hey, so is this place open? Because there's this Mexican place there that I like to go to. And he's like, no, that one's closed. They moved it over here. So that's always disappointing. It's like, now I got to find it again. Like, why do they keep moving this place? But I always am like, dude, how do you live here? And he's like, I just like it. I don't know how to explain it. I just do.
It's true. People that live in Tucson, they're like, I would never live in Phoenix, never live in the valley, never live anywhere. And then people that live in Phoenix are like,
the exact same thing.
No freaking way would I ever live in Tucson. Like, I hate going there and staying there for training for a week, let alone staying there for that whole life. Nope, not happening. But people love it. And I mean, good for them, but yeah, it's not for me.
I mean, it's one of those things where for me, I could totally see myself living there if the roads and the other parts that I talked about, the bikini guy on the street, if that wasn't such a problem, because I see it every time I go. Every time I go down there, I see the same issues crop up all over the place. If that wasn't such a problem, I could totally see myself living there. Because again, freaking gorgeous all around it.
Never. Never. U of A's down there, just so you know.
But the one thing, for the difference here is I am a state of Arizona fan. I root for anything that's in the state of Arizona versus I don't really buy into the ASU U of A rivalry. I don't care.
That's fine.
So, but I know that that's a thing. I'm not going to pretend like it's not.
It's definitely a thing.
But I mean, the thing about Tucson's kind of nice. It's like the elevation I think is like 2,400 feet above sea level. Here we're 1,200, so it's a little bit higher. So it's typically about 10 degrees cooler down there.
Still hot.
It is still hot.
Still
You're
the
right.
desert.
You're right.
It's still
Still
the
hot.
desert.
But I will say this is the one drawback. The only lake down there to go to is Lake Patagonia.
Oh, yeah.
Which we still have to go.
Yeah.
We still got to go.
That's down there a ways, too.
Yeah, it is. But that's about the only lake down there in southern Arizona to go to. Here, we've got the rim's close enough. We talked about it in the first episode. We got the rim to go to really quick. We got a couple of surrounding reservoirs, Roosevelt,
I love Roosevelt.
Canyon,
Yeah.
Apache, Saguaro,
Bartlett.
Pleasant. Yeah, Bartlett. So, I mean, we got enough things around here to be able to
Keep
get
us
to.
busy.
And I'm not even a lake person, and yet somehow that's an important fact to me.
You don't even have a boat.
No, I don't. But in Tucson, I had this thought. I was listening to PTI, Pardon the Interruption, right? And I'm listening to them as I'm driving back, and they're talking about somebody doing something amazing in hockey. And my immediate thought was, is there a more impossible sport than hockey? I mean,
What do you mean?
think about it. These dudes are flying on blades of steel on ice with a stick, and they're somehow, I don't know what you would call it. They start dribbling. What do you do with the stick in the puck?
Just kind of, I mean, we can call it dribbling for lack of better words.
Because we don't know.
It's called something else, I'm
Yes.
sure.
So they're able to move.
Handling the puck.
Handling the
I don't
puck. There you
know.
go. They can handle this little black rubberized disc and shoot this thing at like 150 miles an hour at a guy covered in pads. How this guy's able to move, I don't know. And he's able to stop it. Catch it in a glove.
You ever been to a hockey game?
I have. Been to one.
See, I've never been to one, and I say you got to go.
You do.
It's fast paced and it's all over the place. And I love. One thing I love about hockey, and it's my favorite highlight, is because they let the people fight.
Yes.
Until they fall down. It's like, cool, you two just want to fight it out. Guess what? Let's just imagine how much better society would be if you didn't have keyboard warriors and you were just like, hey, look, we're gonna fight until one of us goes down, and then a referee's gonna come in and say, all right, cool, get it up. You'd probably be friends afterwards.
Yes.
But no, they don't do that. But hockey, they're like, no, we ain't changing that. Like, until they fall down, they will exchange punches. They grab each other's jerseys and they just go to town. And I love it. I'm like, here we go.
This is probably an unpopular opinion, but I think that needs to come back in every sport.
Dude, just let them fight.
Every sport.
Let them fight.
I hear people talk all the time. This is one that, okay, first, I don't want to branch off this because I will go down a completely different road, but I want to come back to this. But when I look at the skill involved in hockey, I'm blown away.
It's crazy.
Blown away at the skill involved to be able to play that game at a high level. So hockey guys, I don't understand your sport, but I respect you.
Have you ever ice skated?
No, I have. I've tried.
I've tried. Oh, yeah, I can't say I've ice skated.
Yes.
I've tried.
Yes.
And, dude, ice is less forgiving than concrete,
Oh,
dude.
it is
so
hard.
bad.
Oh, it hurts so bad.
Yeah.
So when you asked me if I had ice skated, my answer was immediately no, because no, I've never successfully ice skated. Have I attempted it? Many times. I have attempted at least 4 or 5 times in my life. But yeah, dude, falling down on that ice,
I can go because I rollerbladed and stuff, but stopping, I'm like, no, something's gonna have to stop me. Like I can't stop.
And you watch those guys. Those guys are like freaking figure skaters.
Yeah.
I mean, they are they're fast, moving like crazy. I just, again, one of those things I just don't understand. I don't understand how those guys are able to do those things. Sorry, this is completely off topic.
My gosh,
you want to describe that?
Oh, I don't even know if I can describe that, dude. So we just got a text from Bowen and from his wife, and he's like leaned over the counter because dry heaving. He's just thinking about everything he said to us on the phone.
That's the social media post.
Yes.
Forget
Oh,
the
yes.
Bikini.
This is
It's
going
that.
in for sure. Look at him. He's so we will post that on. That's going to be posted for sure.
Fantastic. All
Thank
right.
you, Malia.
So I have said what I needed to say about the hockey thing, but I just wanted to say that's crazy. But I want to come back to the fighting because I firmly believe we need that in every sport.
So here's the problem with it going in every sport, and this is the good thing about hockey for me and where they don't allow, is for the most part, I know it's rare, so I can't say 100% of the time, but the people fighting, it's the two dudes in the fight. Nobody else comes running up. You don't have benches clearing. You don't have the pitcher from the way out in the bullpen running in like he's going to do something in this fight, right? Let the two guys fight just fine. But basketball, look what happened with the Pacers back in the day. It's like everybody gets involved. Right now you can't clear benches. Why? If two dudes have beef on the court, let them have beef. But the problem is they don't everybody doesn't stay out of it. Everybody wants their piece of the pie. Everybody wants their throw, and that's where hockey doesn't allow that. The guys just sit back. Like you almost see two dudes from the opposite team standing next to each other. Like, all right, who's going to win this?
So like, I heard one guy talking about it. It's like basically anytime that a fight breaks out, you have to find your dance partner. You got to go find the guy. Whether you're going to fight him or not, you got to go find the guy, grab him by the pads, and you'll just kind of like half-heartedly go at it. Just because, okay, I got to have my guy. And you know that, okay, that's you. Okay, and we just do it. Let those guys actually work it out.
Yeah.
You and I are going to do what we have to do. Like that's all we're going to do. But I know that your point is well taken in that it can spill out into all the other guys on the team that don't have a fight. They shouldn't have a fight in this instance.
They just get emotional because they're guys. It's like, let them get beat up. If they lose the fight, so what? If they win, good for you. Just leave it alone.
So, but I don't think that that's something that we couldn't legislate into every sport like the way hockey's got it. Instead of taking it out completely, we're talking about alpha males, hyper-aggressive alpha males, and we're saying that you cannot show any aggression.
At the top of their sport, too.
At
like
the top.
Not like in the middle. Like these are the best of the best, right? We're any professional sport, that's what they are. And you're like, hey, that's how I feel about celebrating. As much as we talked about celebrating before, it's like, how can you not? It's emotional. Yes. Everything's emotional. Like, let them be emotional. But again, it's the two people need to be emotional. Let everybody else just say, okay, let's just wait it out. Cool, we're done. All right, let's go back to balling out or whatever we're doing. But that's not what happens. Everybody wants to get involved.
But I also don't have, really, I mean, honestly, I don't have a big problem with everybody getting involved. And the reason why is a lot of this, I was watching, you know who Nolan Ryan is, right?
Of course.
Nolan Ryan's an absolute legend. For any of you guys who don't know, this guy is an absolute legendary baseball player, was pitching well, and I mean well, at 46 years old. He ended up stopping because he tore his UCL, and he's like, that's it. At 46. This guy pitched for like 26 years.
He played longer than Tom Brady.
Yes. He holds the record for the longest professional stint at Major League Baseball, which is a crazy statistic to hold. But I'm watching this whole thing about him. One of the most famous things, I mean, one of the more famous images you'll ever have if you ever look up Nolan Ryan is when he threw and he hit Jesse Ventura. Not Jesse Ventura. That's the wrestling guy.
The wrestler guy.
And he has last Robin Ventura? I can't remember.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
He hits him. Ventura puts his bat down, and it's kind of like, I got to go at him. He's got to charge the mound. So he charges the mound, and Nolan Ryan puts this guy in a headlock and takes him down. I mean, just go, like, it honestly looked like some young kid trying to fight an old, rusty old farmer who knows what he's doing.
Who's got old man strength.
Old man strength. And he just pounds him, pounds him to the floor. So as I'm watching this, and there's many times in which, in that documentary where they show that there was some sort of bench clearing brawl. And when I say brawl, I mean actual brawl. Actual fight. Like guys are actually throwing at each other. Not like they are today where everybody gets out and they just kind of like chest bump. Hey. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing that actually happens. And yet somehow those still lead to ejections, which is mind-boggling to me. But I look at it and say, if you know as a pitcher, And if you're going to hit a guy in the box that he can come and actually charge and hit you, how likely are you to throw at that dude?
Maybe you're not going to give him so much chin music.
Yes. Yeah, it's going to change the way you pitch.
Yeah, it will, for
It's
sure.
going to change it. And let's say in the NBA, if you're going to drive to the hole and you've got a Charles Oakley from back in the day.
Charles Oakley.
Dude, Charles Oakley, you
See
got
what I mean? You come out of nowhere, bro. Like, you pull these names
this
out,
guy
like,
this guy was famously that dude. He was famously that guy. Like, listen, if you got a guy that's driving to the paint and he's getting the bucket all the time, you put in Charles Oakley because guess what's going to happen? That guy's going to end up on the floor.
Yeah.
He's going to end up on the floor. And now, is he going to get called for a foul? Absolutely. But does it change the mindset of, dude, if I'm going to drive into the hole, I know that Charles Oakley's going to put me on the ground. I mean, that's what Marshawn Lynch. You're going to hit him over and over and over.
And eventually, it's going to get him. I'm going to hit him over. As we
And
talk
over
about
and over and over.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it changes the concept of the game. It changes the whole game plan, the strategy that's inside of a player's mind. And when we take all of that out, now we get into a topic that I wanted to talk about. How soft have NBA players become?
Oh, dude, that's my complaint with LeBron. LeBron, he just hit 40,000 points. He is arguably one of the best players of our time. But when you talk about the GOAT and you have all these references of like, oh, and it's always a three, right? Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron. The difference is you've got the style of the game, hand checking, all these things that were legal back in
Charles Oakley.
Yeah, that guy, illegal. They don't
The
do that.
Detroit Pistons from back in the day.
Yeah, with Isaiah Thomas and when Rodman played for them. And it was just bad news. Like, you did not want to, like, that was just a fight. When the Bulls played the Pistons in the late 80s, 90s, it was, okay, we're going to fight, right? We learned that. We watched in The Last Dance. If you were around, like, it was a Netflix documentary came out about with Michael Jordan, and he talked all about basically his career and all the stuff he did. But what they talked about was the Detroit Pistons and their rivalry and how Rodman and I think Isaiah Thomas and him still aren't friends.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
they
still don't talk. That's how deep that hatred or rivalry was. I don't know if I call it hatred, but
No, I call it hatred. Because,
it was pretty bad.
Michael Jordan famously holds grudges.
Yeah. Oh,
Famously
he
holds
does
grudges.
not care. Like, he's like, and so back to the argument of greatest of all time, when you talk about the NBA being soft, I think absolutely it's soft. I think it's just completely a different game. So you have players that are great of their time. And yes, like I said, LeBron hit 40,000 points. By the time he's done, he'll probably crest 41, 42,000 because I know he wants to play with his kid. I think it's ultimately his end goal.
So my thing is I have no problem at all. It isn't hard at all for me to believe that LeBron James would have been dominant at any era of basketball in which he's ever played because he can play any type of basketball. The thing I hold against him is the fact that he plays in the era to which you are rewarded for being an absolute. I mean, you are rewarded for being that. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
You can sit there, flop on the ground, complain, constantly talk about how you're not getting the calls, whine up and down the court. And this is a guy. Listen, I am a NBA fan. I will defend LeBron James as long as the day is, shining. Like, as long as the sun is up and the moon is up, I don't care. But I'm not defending the fact that he plays in an era that we have to change. This has to change. I am so tired of guys getting quote unquote fouled when they're not touched. The whole reason why I talk about this, I wrote it down in the notes, was NBA quote unquote fouls, is it goes back to a game I was watching the Suns play the Mavericks. The Mavericks destroyed us. Whatever. That's a topic for another day. I don't think the Suns are going to do it. I'm fully off that train right now. I'm so done with it.
I feel like I told you so. It's somewhere relevant here, but
you did.
It's okay. It's all right. We'll wait.
But anyway, that's different topic, different day. But in this one, Luka Doncic is going for a rebound. Okay, it's a missed shot. He's running in for a rebound. Grayson Allen puts his hands out to get the ball. Okay, literally what happens is Luka Doncic takes Grayson Allen's hand and pushes his hand towards his face. Doesn't make contact, by the way. And Luka acts like he got straight up clotheslined, flops to the ground hard, grabs his face like he just got drilled, immediately acting like he got killed. Guys, I don't know if you know this. Luka Doncic is a huge human. He is a huge human being. 6'6", probably 260 pounds. Is he
really?
He is a huge human being.
He doesn't look that big.
No,
he's just a goofy looking
he is
white dude,
soft,
man.
so fluffy.
Oh, he's very soft.
So
But
fluffy.
I didn't think he was that heavy.
And listen, I hate watching the guy play basketball, but I'm not going to take away from the fact that he is an amazing basketball
he's
player.
great.
He's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
He's got that perfect slow man game where he doesn't matter how slow he is, he's somehow able to get the open shot all the time. But anyway, he flops on the ground, acts like he just got destroyed. Replay show, oh yeah, Grayson Allen didn't make contact with him. He didn't touch his face. In fact, if anybody hit his face, Luka Doncic hit his own face. But I don't understand how you, again, as an alpha male, hyper aggressive, can ever possibly allow yourself to look like such an absolute. I don't get it.
That's the name of the game now.
I know, but that's what drives me nuts. That's why we need to go back to allowing these guys to fight. Because guess what? If Grayson Allen sees that, I'm going to defend myself. I did nothing wrong here. I mean, I'm not advocating for guys fighting in the tunnels, what happened with the Detroit Pistons coming back when Isaiah Stewart clocked Drew Eubanks in the face. I'm up for that. But listen, if they were on the court and let's say Drew Eubanks, he pulled a Shaq on Chris Dudley when Shaq dunks on Dudley and straight humps him in the air and then pushes him to the ground. I got no problem if Chris Dudley wants to go up and fight Shaq. Now, he's got to fight Shaq.
Yeah, you got to fight Shaq. That's not something I would want to do.
But I look at it and say, hey, he needs to be able to defend himself in a way that would allow it. Because in basketball, you're not allowed to defend yourself physically.
Well, look at Booker and the guy that they just got into it, like running down the court with each other, right? And it's like they separated, nothing happened, but it's like the other part I think too is blood on the court versus blood on the ice. I feel like that's probably part of the reason why they don't let them fight.
Maybe. But I also know that it's because they're looking at it from the example. They don't want to set the example of violence. I understand that, but I also look at it. This is an unpopular opinion, and one of these days we're going to have this guy on the show for him to give it. He's basically advocating. He's like, listen, bullying needs to come back.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So, yeah,
I'm not going to disagree with the guy though.
So I want him to defend it because when he said it, we were in this setting that was not exactly the perfect setting for it. He's like, listen, man, bullying needs to come back. And I just started laughing my head off because I thought it was the funniest statement to make.
I could talk about it right now because it is. Yeah,
I want to hold on to it because I do want him to. And he also had another point when it came to the GOAT debate. He's like, listen, I'm not taking away from LeBron James, but there's no way that your body should be allowed. You should be able to play this long if you really are playing that hard. Yeah. Meaning, like, Michael Jordan only played 12, 13 years?
Not much.
With two breaks in between. Yeah. 2 breaks in between. Yeah. And so, his career totals aren't near what, other people in that category, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, they're not there. But nobody debates whether or not Michael Jordan is in the top 2 of greatest of all time, right? Yeah. It's always between him and LeBron. But if LeBron played at the same time Michael played, I think LeBron would have been just as dominant, but not near as long. He might have played 15 years.
I agree. I think he would be very dominant. I mean, he's 6'8", he's 200 whatever pounds, and he can jump to the top of the rim, hoop. I mean, the guy's an athlete. You can't take all that away, but
he's a physical specimen.
But for me, I'm telling you right now, I will never, ever, ever will he not be number 3.
Number 3 for you,
Kobe. Dude, I'm sorry.
Kobe's not number 2.
Kobe's
not even number 3.
Relentless. See, dude, his there's a book called Relentless by Tim Grover. Phenomenal book, and it talks about how different these athletes were. Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Michael Jordan, right? They had something else. I'm sorry, dude. For me, and I'm not a giant basketball fan, but for Kobe, maybe Kobe's not number 2. Maybe it's somebody else, but Jordan is behind, or LeBron is behind Kobe for me. I don't know where you want to put somebody else at number 2. That's fine, but LeBron just gets farther back in the stack. Man.
See, I have no debate. I have no problem with anybody saying that Kobe is one of the greatest. Put him in your top 5. That's fine because of what you said. He wasn't the flashiest athlete. He wasn't the fastest, jump the highest, or anything like that. But he was a guy that got the absolute maximum he could out of his body, which is the thing that I look at and I respect the most. But I can think of a few guys that I'd say, no, Kobe's not that guy. I mean, Shaq. Shaq's that guy.
Shaq's top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
But that's because he's 7'1", 300 something pounds, and he could rip the basketball hoop off literally.
But we also don't give enough credit to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a guy who did play during the hardest era on your body when dudes were literally throwing elbows into your chest. He played until he was in his 40s.
You know who I watched a video on that was pretty darn nasty?
Larry
Bird. Dude.
Larry Bird. Dude.
I didn't realize he was such a nasty player, but he was aggressive. I mean, he was a baller,
yeah.
Great player, but I mean, you talk about temper. That guy had a temper, dude.
But that guy would talk some crap.
Oh, for sure.
He was such a low key, he had that accent to where if he was talking crap, he'd be like, wait, you being real? You joking with me?
Did he just say that?
Hold on a second now. What did you just say? He had that ability to come off as country bumpkin, but he was a ruthless competitor.
Yeah, he was mean, dude.
Yeah.
You watch him, I don't know if it was a reel or what I watched, but it was all about Larry Bird and just how nasty of a player he actually was. I mean, because he was phenomenal in his own right, dude. He was really good during his era of basketball.
Oh yeah, it was him and Magic Johnson. It
Yeah.
was those two. They ruled the 80s.
Yeah.
In fact, I think if those guys don't come into the league when they do, the NBA doesn't become anything. Because before they came in, I mean, shoot, they were showing the finals on tape delay. Like you couldn't watch the NBA finals live. Your local broadcast would show it after the evening news type thing, where it's like it's not an important thing. But when Magic and Larry and that rivalry coast to coast hit, I mean, dude, the NBA suddenly became a cultural phenomenon across the entire United States.
Yeah.
So yeah, Larry is probably one of the more forgotten, important guys in the NBA. Mostly, I mean, maybe it's because we live on the West Coast.
Probably
Because I know in Boston, Larry is a god.
Oh,
like,
I'm sure.
He's
I'm sure
a legend.
I'm sure he's everywhere. That
Yeah,
number 33 or whatever he was.
Yeah,
right?
and the same thing in Indiana, where he's from. Like, I mean, I'm sure that's probably more the case over there. We don't hear much of it here. Here, we hear a lot about Kobe because he's West Coast. A lot about Magic Johnson, West Coast, and also, I mean, LeBron, because LeBron, since he broke into the league, has been coast to coast. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing that I always look at, and that I'm most amazed by with LeBron James, is the fact that this guy has been as culturally significant for as long as he has been. Think about it, dude. He broke into the league before we graduated high school.
I know. Oh no,
Okay?
I don't. Like I said, I'm not taking any of that away. I get it.
No, but the thing that I don't think gets talked about enough is he's been that guy for 20 years.
Yeah.
And he's not had a single scandal. I mean, if you were that
He's
guy
the Larry Fitzgerald of basketball.
I mean, I wouldn't even say that, because I think Larry's a squeakier, cleaner record.
Well, right, of course.
And I mean that in the sense that, like, Larry has never taken any kind of controversial stance on anything, right?
True.
Larry
LeBron.
is the way Larry lived his life the same way that Michael Jordan did when he said, "Hey, listen, Republicans buy sneakers too."
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to come out and
Yeah.
he's not going to do that. But with LeBron, it's like you never heard about him cheating on his wife. He's going to have a whole bunch of different kids with different women all over the place. He's got 3 kids with the same woman that was his girlfriend from high school.
He learned from Tiger Woods, bro. Get rid of the phone. Get more phones.
Yes. So I mean, it's just, I guess it's one of those things where, like, and whether or not that's true, I don't know. I don't know why it wouldn't be. I don't know why that he would be the one guy that doesn't come out on. You know what I mean? Like, the one guy who has had all this infidelity that doesn't get reported. He doesn't get
No, I think he's
brought down
just. I think he's like you said. I think he's just done right by his career and his kids and his high school sweetheart girlfriend, which has been great.
Yeah, and the fact that, dude, could you imagine being dubbed the one in high school? You're a junior in high school, and everybody started talking about you are the one, and somehow living up to it.
He has, and in that defense, he absolutely has. He came out, out of St. Mary's High School or whatever, right? And Akron or where, I don't even know where it was at, dude.
Dude, you just told Akron.
Yeah, whatever.
You just totally went back to 2003 and said Akron.
Akron, whatever. Akron. I think that's where it was at. Is it Akron? I think
Akron, Ohio,
right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, yeah, he was flying around as a junior, senior, like no way. And he was dubbed the one, and he got to play against Kobe. So I mean,
and Michael
when he played for the Wizards,
when he played for the Wizards, which was a joke.
Yeah,
we like to forget that portion of his career.
Of course.
Dude, what's crazy though is that Michael Jordan was playing with the Wizards. I think he was the same age LeBron James is now. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Because I mean, when everybody talks about how at that time Michael Jordan, he played all 82 games in his final season, he averaged 20 points a game. Dude, LeBron's approaching 30 points a game now.
Yeah.
Like, he is still that guy now. To this, I'd say it's my brother-in-law that wants to come and do this. He lives in Montana, so it's kind of hard to make that happen. But he's the one that was saying, "Listen, I'm not going to say that LeBron's not one of the greatest. That's not the point. My point is that you shouldn't be able to play at this level at that age if you really were playing in a super physical league." He's like, and that was his argument against Tom Brady in the same way. It's like, listen, if you're playing football, you should not ever be able to play for 20 years, because if you are playing for 20 years, that's because you're playing the most protected position in sports.
Oh, yeah. Especially the Tom Brady rules, like the falling into their knees and all that other
Yep.
crap that came out of Tom Brady being a quarterback.
Exactly. So it's like one of those things where it's like, I hear that. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. I don't want to hear people say that LeBron couldn't dominate in the 90s, though, because, dude, you want to talk about a
He's
physical
a superhuman,
specimen.
dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that.
Imagine trying to body that guy up.
But here's the thing, dude. I'd love to see Rodman in his prime of that anger of the early 90s against LeBron. 'Cause I think LeBron's soft. I don't think maybe he would. I mean, maybe he wouldn't have been soft in that era, right? If he played in that era, he couldn't be soft.
That's my point.
Yeah,
that's my point. Because I think if he plays in that era, that you can't get away with complaining and you can't get away with talking about how you got fouled in every single play, because that is the NBA today. And as much as a fan of the NBA I am, I hate that aspect of it. I hate that. And I'll even call out my favorite player, Devin Booker. He's just as bad at it as everybody else. And I'm not
play the game.
Yes, that's the thing I hate.
Play the game.
I hate that because it's the truth.
Yep.
You have to play that game, and it irritates me to no end because it does detract from the game.
You know where this all started? It's one player, and as soon as I say his name, you're gonna agree with me.
Okay, so I've got a few players in my mind, but I want to see which one you say.
No, you tell me which ones you're thinking.
Okay, so I can, and this is going to sound like a little bit, maybe it's xenophobic is the word I'm looking for. Insert any European basketball player's name.
I think he might have been. No, he's not. I don't think he's European.
Okay, who are you going to say?
Manu Ginobili.
Oh no, he's Argentinian.
So he
but
is.
Yes.
Yeah. But the flop, his flopping in the early 2000s and all the playoff games against the Suns. Is that where it all started with? Like they started calling all this stupid stuff where he would crazy flop backwards, and you're like, dude, he didn't even touch. Oh,
in
it started
some
with
of
that
the
dude.
most unrealistic body movements. Like, listen, if you really got hit that way, your head doesn't do what you just did with your head.
But and my hatred is really because he was a Spur,
Yes.
and I get it right.
And they were the roadblock man.
They were just the Achilles heel for the Suns.
They were the absolute stop sign in front of all of our hopes and dreams.
So bad, but
No,
I feel
but
like that's where it started.
I was going to say, I could insert any name of any kind of European player that came into the basketball in the late 90s, early 2000s. Manu Ginobili, I know he's not European, but he had... Well, you know what it really was? It was the nations that soccer is number one sport. Those were the nations that did it.
Soccer guys
players
flop, dude.
That's what they do
all
every
over.
single time. And listen, I watch a lot of it now. On Saturday, I watched 3 different matches from 3 different leagues. And as much as I like watching the sport because it's becoming one that I am so really amazed by the skill that those guys have, the ability to receive the ball on a launch from the goalie, like a goal kick that goes 60 yards, for that guy to be able to take it with his leg and stop it instantly to where it doesn't go bouncing around, it blows my mind, that kind of skill. But every possession, and if you know soccer, there's a lot of possessions. Every possession, one guy's rolling on the ground, grabbing his shin, acting like he got fouled.
And then as soon as they pull out the yellow card, they get the whistle, they get up like nothing happened.
Yeah, they're fine. A match should be healed.
They bring the gurney out like, no, we don't need it. We don't need it. It's like, dude, just stop.
So again, I'd say, I said European, but you said Manu Ginobili. I mean, Argentina is in South America. And what's the number one sport there?
Yep,
Soccer.
It is.
So and I think that is the case.
Yeah.
And it's definitely leaked because that's what the NBA does now. Every player on every team does it. And it drives me crazy because I can't defend it. When people talk about how they don't like basketball, I have to sit there and just be like,
I get it. Yeah, it's the game.
they're playing
man.
the
Just
game.
don't. And if you know that going into it, like, hey, I'm going to try to get more fouls called and all that stuff. Like you said, Booker, like these guys are just playing the game, man. You got to play it.
Yeah, it drives me nuts. I really don't like it at all.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. So, but going to other things that are unnecessary, there's been a lot of talk about how the All-Star game, the last NBA All-Star game was an abomination to the sport because nobody played any defense at all. What's your take on whether or not we even need to have All-Star games in any sport?
I don't. You know what's funny? It's like the Pro Bowl, right? For the football league or for NFL. It became flag football. Yeah. Right? Because it just, and I almost just support that. It's kind of like maybe do a fundraiser for like a Make-A-Wish kids or whatever. Do something like that where you get these players to donate. Every touchdown we throw, we're going to donate. Everybody's going to donate $10,000 or something stupid, right? But I'm not I don't know, the All-Star stuff, like the NBA All-Star just becomes a no defense and who can do the dumbest things. And the skills competition's cool.
Yeah.
But
that is cool.
The game itself, I think it's pointless.
I've always thought the All-Star game was dumb. It means nothing to anybody. Me as a fan doesn't mean anything to me.
Well,
and not only that, but like I don't want my guys going to the All-Star game. I want them to go to get the recognition, right? I don't want them to go to get hurt. Like in a game that's meaningless, means nothing. I don't want to see baseball. I don't want to see Corbin Carroll this last year. He's the rookie of the year for the Diamondbacks. Went to the All-Star game, started the All-Star game, which is crazy as a rookie, in his hometown, Seattle, Washington. Super cool thing for him. But he had just come off an at-bat in which he kind of tweaked his shoulder a little bit, and he thought his season was done. He thought he tore his rotator cuff or did something to that effect, and he's like, dude, I'm done. But the next week was the All-Star game, so of course he's going to go. He got voted to be a starter. That's a big deal. Yeah. And so my thought was like, what if he just has another tweak and it actually does tear his rotator cuff? That would have we would have never made it to the World Series without Corbin Carroll. But it's for a stupid, pointless game. Doesn't matter.
Did this strike up because of like a reel or something with Kobe Bryant? I think it was Kobe Bryant.
There's been so much talk about Kobe Bryant.
Something with where he's like, he talks about the All-Star game and he's like, it should be like the greatest pickup game of all, like of the year, like the best. You have the best of the best. It should be a low-scoring, defensive, just dominating game where like you're getting points, but it's not easy. And that's what it's not at all.
No,
and that's
it's
why
not.
people don't like it.
And there's a lot of talk about it because Kobe was that way, but also he broke his nose in the last All-Star game he played in. And I'm looking at it from a perspective of a fan. I'm like, I don't want you playing in a meaningless game to break your nose.
Yeah.
Are you going to miss it? Because now this is the playoff stretch run for the NBA. Like now every win and every loss truly matters a significant amount. And I don't want, let's say, Devin Booker or Kevin Durant in the last one. Twist an ankle. Shoot, now you're out for 4 weeks?
Yeah.
4 weeks when I need you the most?
And that's a lot of games to miss.
It's a lot of games to miss. And it's also how it blows my mind that we don't see a twisted ankle in literally every basketball game. Because the amount of guys, they're jumping up and down, they're right next to each other.
Standing underneath people. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's an easy thing to happen. So I wonder, I'm like, I don't want to see it happen. I don't want it. I do like the way that the NFL said, you know what, screw it. We're not playing a real game. They don't play anyway. Let's do flag football because it's kind of fun. I don't watch it.
You remember when Sean Taylor crushed that punter on a pick, but
annihilated
it was like
him.
that was when they were like, "Hey, maybe we should play flag football, dude."
Well, I think that's when everybody on the other side said, "I'm not doing this anymore."
Yeah,
dude.
no, I'm good. I'm good.
not going to lose my life
Yeah.
just because this guy wants to prove something. No way.
Nope, I'm good.
I did see a solution, and somebody had said, "Listen, if we want to see some actual competition, let's do this. We only elect 12 All-Stars, and then it's 12 snubs. So those snubs who feel like, hey, I should have been, they'll compete. We'll see what the All-Stars do once those guys are competing.
That's true.
You know, competition breeds
All
competition.
Stars versus snubs.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be kind of cool.
I kind of thought it was funny, but goes against my, like, get rid of the All-Star game altogether. We don't need it. I like the skills competition. That's cool. 3-point shooting contest is cool. The dunk contest isn't cool anymore because when you have a G Leaguer win it 2 years in a row, then you know that it's not important because the best guys aren't doing it.
Did LeBron ever do it and win
No,
it?
he's never done it.
Makes me so mad.
Yeah, well, and the reason
That's another reason. Another thing that pissed me off about LeBron. It's like, look, you want to be the greatest, you got to show that you can do that too. Like, I want to see you win a dunk contest. Don't be crazy. Like, if you do that much, I know you're capable, but it's like it's almost like he doesn't want to watch Star Wars. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, come on, dude. Like, your whole fan base wants to see you do a dunk contest.
Yeah, that
especially when he was younger.
Now. Yeah,
because you got Dwight Howard won it back in the day because he's 9 feet tall, and I'm like, that's not him jumping at all.
No, what's crazy about Dwight Howard is he wasn't that tall, but he played that big.
He was. Dude, he's 6'10", but
He's
still,
6'10".
like, look at when you look at guys like Spud Webb doing a dunk contest.
Or Nate Robinson. Remember Nate Robinson?
Yeah, those are the guys you're like, I want to see. We should have a guards dunk contest, dude.
Yeah.
Like, because those are the guys that are actually jumping and showing athletic ability. These other dudes that they have to jump 6 inches to dunk a basketball, so they'll jump 12 inches to get the ball between their legs. I'm like, that ain't even that impressive anymore. And that's why it's going away.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing with that is it does come back to the point. Like, if the stars competed in the dunk competition, it would be a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Because you want to see. Because I mean, the guys that I grew up watching was Dominique Wilkins from the Hawks back in the day. He did it, and he was like a vicious dunker. Sean Kemp. Michael Jordan did it when he was young.
Kemp, yeah.
So I mean, these guys were like they were the dunkers, and they were vicious dunkers. And seeing Spud Webb do it, I still remember watching that in elementary school. They did a whole we watched a whole special on it because it happened before I was born, or maybe I was like 2 years old. I don't know.
Right.
It might have been 88.
It was young. We were young.
Yeah, but I remember watching being blown away that a guy that small could just bounce. I mean, it looked like he just hit a trampoline in the court and boom, like just go. And then watching Nate Robinson do it, later on in life, that was so cool to watch it happen. But when the big name guys aren't doing it, it doesn't get it's not as fun to watch.
Well, and you wonder, like, can the NBA make it more of like more money? Like, give them money to win. Like, right now they get a trophy. There's nothing for them to win. So, and let's not pretend like the NBA don't have the money to give out. Hey, make it $100,000 paycheck. Some kind of, hey, you get a bonus tonight. You win the dunk contest, you're getting $100,000. Like,
I'm sure there's something to that effect, but the guys are making so much money. I mean,
I know $100,000
unless you are the G League guy. So Mac McClung is the guy that's won it 2 years in a row. I think he's played like 2 NBA games in that series because he's not good enough. Yeah. He's obviously, if that guy walked into your gym today, he'd wipe the floor with everybody there.
Yeah, he'd tear up LA Fitness.
Exactly. But that's just the difference between the guys in the league and the guys trying to get to the league.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think All-Star games are a waste of time in every league.
They've gone downhill for sure, and it's just making it where they're just trying to hold on at this point. And I don't know what hockey does. I don't even know if they have an All-Star game.
They got an All-Star game, but it's right around the same time as the NBA. So unless you're a hockey fan, you don't hear much about it.
So the NFL's done it right, I think, with hey, let's just have flag football, have some fun. And like I said, if they would make it more for like a foundation or some kind of donation or something, because they're a nonprofit, like give some money out to something, I know you could get away with doing it to some kind of foundation, you'd be fine.
Oh, no, that is something I do agree with, because then if you get guys that aren't competing, they don't care. Well, guess what? Now they got a PR nightmare.
Yeah, exactly.
They got to deal with people talking about how they don't care about the children.
Yeah, no joke.
That nobody wants to be told that they're that guy. And kind of along the same lines of all-star games and how they're just not important anymore. What's your take and belief, or how do you think about court storming? So, like, if your team wins a last-second huge upset against, we'll say you're Northern Arizona University, and you upset University of Arizona, that's a big win, and
that'd be a really big win.
Huge win.
Flagstaff would burn down.
For real. So then we got other problems in court storming, but then all the students come flying onto the court. They're holding their players up on their shoulders and having a good time. The reason why I bring it up is because what happened recently this past week is I don't remember which team it was. They beat Duke, and of course everybody comes flying onto the court. It's a big deal. They have this big upset, and one of Duke's players twisted his ankle. Okay, and let me tell you this. The footage will tell you he was also throwing some elbows before that happened. So you know what?
Wow.
Shut
Poetic
up,
justice.
Duke. Yeah. Freaking that guy fit every classification of what you think a Duke player was.
No.
Before that, though, there was another instance in Iowa in which there was a Iowa women's basketball team. Caitlin Clark, I think, is the star player there.
She is.
So there was a big court storm, and a girl ran into her, and Caitlin Clark fell down. Now, I will say again, on that replay, if you watch it, Caitlin Clark definitely sold the call. I mean, she was going hard for that whistle. You know what I mean? She was flopping big time to get that whistle blown on a foul. Either way, both players went away, quote unquote, hurt.
Yeah.
And they both played in the very next game. So they weren't hurt. Okay. So everybody now is talking about how we need to ban court storming because of player safety. Go, Jason.
Player safety. So I don't know. For me, I think it's fine because as long as nobody's getting hurt, but it's like, I don't know. Like, I've never seen anybody get hurt till recently with it. It's been a thing forever. Like, you've always seen the March Madness when a Sweet 16 teams or these Cinderella teams come through and they beat a team they shouldn't. I mean, people storm the court. Like, I mean, I could imagine on the security side of it, it's a nightmare because you're like, hey, look, like you guys, how do you stop it?
Yeah.
They usually, I mean, security guards or police around there's probably 7 total on the court side. So you're like, 500 kids coming on. I'm like, look, hey, let's just try not to get hurt. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, so I don't know if I have a problem with it. It's just, but I think you kind of have to embrace that. You're in a sport that's emotional. Like, you've got these college sports nonetheless, right? Because this really doesn't happen in the NBA.
No, it doesn't.
So it's a college thing. It's emotional. It's these teams these kids are playing their hearts out to try to go eventually to the next level. So I understand the as a player, like, I think when people are running on the court, as a player, you should probably just make your way to the tunnel.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not on the winning team, why are you out there throwing elbows, being away? Because all you're doing is you're just asking for a problem.
Yeah. Well,
so I don't agree.
Not only that, but think about this. We've been, like you said, we've been doing this for decades. Court storming is not a new phenomenon.
Not at all.
Right? And somehow recently we've had 2 minor injuries. Minor. Again, these players did not miss playing time.
It's all for show.
And now we are, the player safety, we need to stop doing this. Kids are getting hurt. It's like, no, they're not. This is another instance in which I get really angry about, like, let's make everything softer. I am not the most hardcore dude about, like, let's make everything hard. We need to go back to the Stone Ages. Why do we have cars? We should be running to work. Like, that kind of crap. I don't care. That's not me. But at the same time, like, I have been in 2 field storming incidents when my brother played at University of Arizona. By the way, everybody, if it's a brother-in-law or a brother, I just say brother. So don't try and look up Pugmire played for U of A. Didn't, okay? But when he played down there, they beat the university. It was UCLA on a homecoming win, right? It was a big win because that year, U of A was garbage. They were not a good team. And that was a big win against UCLA. Dude, we rushed the field and had a great time, jumping up and down, loving it. And then the biggest one was when Oregon came into town. They were number 2. Dennis Dixon was the quarterback. I don't know if you remember that team. The Oregon team was freaking amazing. This was like early Chip Kelly days. And so Oregon is the machine. Dennis Dixon is the Heisman Trophy front runner. He's definitely going to win it. And Oregon's coming down. U of A is pushing hard for 500. They've been kind of staying in that realm of 500 team, 5-5, 4-5. They've been working hard to stay relevant so they can get to a bowl game. Anyway, so Oregon comes in, number 2. ESPN game days there. The sold out stadium. It's primetime game. And guess what? U of A trounced Oregon. And this is a sad fact now, but Dennis Dixon's career ruined in that game because my brother-in-law took him out. He was the middle linebacker, took him out.
Perfect.
And it was awesome. You better believe when the clock was ticking down, students were already on the field waiting to rush the field for that final whistle because it was enormous win. Huge win for the team. All the players are being carried up on their shoulders. I got pictures of us. I mean, we got this guy with an ESPN sign that says, the ESPN, and they put in their own words to fill it in.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law's name's on there, and
That's
like a few other guys. And it was just like the coolest feeling. I've never done it in a basketball game, but guess what? Not a single football player got hurt. Didn't hear about it on any radio station or ESPN talk show the next day because it happens all the time. And so now that suddenly two guys got minor injuries, we're worried about them dying in the next possible court storming instance. It's like, guys, it's not that big of a deal.
They don't really do anything when they run the court. They just are all kind of standing there. The most they do is maybe jump around a little bit. But it's mostly just like everybody just crowded on the court, waving their people out. So I've been a part of 2 of these, but I've been on when it was in high school because we were a decent team, right?
Yeah.
So we beat Blue Ridge my senior year.
Huge rival.
Huge rival. Like it's small town Texas football in Arizona in the White Mountains for those who care to know.
Neighboring cities.
It is crazy. Yeah. It's not so much the same now, but it was really bad back then. I mean, you didn't go to Blue Ridge. You didn't date girls from Blue Ridge. You didn't do anything over there if you're from Show Low. So we beat them for the first time in like 20 years in conference. It was their homecoming. Dude, the entire stands like rush the field, and we're all like, I mean, I have it on a highlight reel, and it's funny to see, but nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing happened. We took state. All the people, you take state, everybody rushes the field. We do our little thing, and like, look, nobody gets hurt. Like it happens that's what I'm getting at, is it happens from small town stuff to the middle, all the way to everywhere it's at. Yeah. It's fine. Nobody gets hurt. So when it does, if you look at statistically speaking, it's not that big of a deal.
Now, the one thing I will say is we probably need to raise the bar on what qualifies a court storming or field storming incident.
How do you draw that line in the sand with a bunch of crazy college kids?
Well, yeah, that is the hard line to draw.
Right.
What you need is the college fans need to recognize what truly is a big win and what it's not. Okay.
Right.
Now, if you're a small town team, or not a small town team, let's say you're a bottom of the conference team and you upset Duke. Guess what? Duke's a blue blood. That is a premier basketball destination in the United States. So yeah, storm the court.
Run on all you can.
Yeah, if you beat them, that's a big deal because they only lose like 5 games a year. So yeah.
And players, it's not like the people rushing the court from all the ones I've ever watched aren't going after the other team.
No,
they're going to their players. There's a dog pile on the top of on the court, right? Those other guys, the problem is that they stick around. Just take your team, get off the court, let them celebrate. You take the L, move on. You know what I mean? Just move.
Yeah, I just think that it's one of those things that we're making a mountain out of a molehill. It's not a big deal. But yet, maybe that's just because of the media
generation
hole
soft
that we're in right now. Yeah, generation soft.
Yep.
But when the NFL ends and those storylines are done, now we have to find something else to talk about. Basketball is the only thing going on right now. It's college and the NBA. If nothing is happening, that's like, oh my gosh, look, LeBron just scored 40,000 points. That wasn't happening at the time. And not only that, but that wasn't really that big a deal because he already broke the all-time scoring record. Yeah. So it's kind of like, cool.
It's just a big milestone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So maybe that was the reason why it got talked about, is because it was like, hey, that was the thing that happened. We don't have anything else going on. Let's put the hammer on this nail.
Why we shouldn't have news 24/7.
Exactly why we should not have news.
I mean, if you think about this is a sports thing. We look at it like a totality of it all. The news should just stop. Let's just stick with what's going on. Because those ones that run 24 hours, I don't care what side of the aisle you watch, MSNBC or Fox, it doesn't matter. They're digging. They're scratching for stuff because it's midnight and they've got to keep running with stuff. So they're going to make everything news. And that's what discredits the news. It's such a joke now. It's just turn off the news at a certain time. Remember back when after a certain point, it was like, no, there was no TV, no news, no nothing. We don't need that stuff. Just turn it off and let sports play or whatever.
Yeah, back in the day, but back in the day, they actually just read the news.
Television.
Well, they read the news. And that was it.
Yeah.
They didn't discuss it, dissect it, and talk about it from 50 different angles. It was, here's the news. Ladies and gentlemen, good night.
Yeah, that's the news. That's what happened.
That's what happened.
We don't know why. We don't care why, but that's why, that's why this happened.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. So, that in itself is an issue. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is a question that I have to ask. Do you think playoff experience specifically, is an overrated thing? And I ask that because it usually comes up, I'd say it comes up in every sport around the end of the year when you're looking at contending teams. And analysts will say, I don't believe in this team. They don't have the experience. I can look at it and tell you the Diamondbacks had no experience, none. And they went all the way to the World Series. Now, did they close it out?
And arguably they lost.
Well, they did. But guess what? The Rangers had never had any either. They never won. That was their first world championship, and the guys on the team, they didn't have crazy kind of
You're also
experience.
talking about baseball.
Okay, basketball. Basketball. The Suns, when they went to the finals, the only guy on there that had real playoff experience, and most of the experience was tied to the utter failures, was Chris Paul. In fact, him getting to the finals was a huge deal because he'd never gotten there before. The story with Chris Paul always was playoff failure, never got there. But they went to the finals. The team they lost to, the Bucks, who too had never been there before and had no experience, and they won a championship. So, and I
understand what you're saying. I get where you're going with it. It's just, do you really bank everything on experience? I don't know if you can, but I think it helps, right? Like,
okay, it certainly helps.
I mean, I think that's where, like, if you're in a playoff league or setup right now, and you've got there's no experience on either side, the Suns and Bucks or the Rangers or we were all talking about right now. That's a little different, but I think if you got a team that's got the Chiefs, right?
The Chiefs, yeah.
Like, I think there's something to be said about the being in the moment before and understanding the pressure of that moment, because Brock Purdy played great. They all played really good, but when you look at the Chiefs, they're like, dude, we've been here before. Like, we're good. Like, we understand the moment. We understand the pressure. I don't care how much. Dude, can you imagine? Just take you, right? Because most of these guys are just like us. They just play really a sport, right? Mm-hmm. So mentally, can you imagine walking onto a football field? There's 100,000 people watching in the stands, or I don't know how much there is in that big stadium that was, but and you're the quarterback or you're the receiver that's going to catch the ball, and it's your first time. Now, I think the second, third time, you're like, no, I know the pressure, I know the feeling, I know the jitters, I get all that. But when you walk out there the first time, Brock Purdy, 2 years in the league, and he's like, I mean, he didn't fold. I will never say he folded. I think he played great. But there is a sense of, like, confidence, I think, is what the experience gives you. I don't think experience makes you a better team. I just think it gives you a confidence to be a better team.
Now, that I 1,000% agree, and I could never disagree with that. That's a fantastic point. I just think that when we talk about contending teams and we don't give them their metaphorical flowers for the things that they've accomplished during the regular season, we say, oh, they don't have any experience. I was going to say, dude, I can point to any number of teams that have had no experience and got there.
I agree.
Okay, because experience doesn't matter until you've had it.
Right.
And you don't know, going back to the, could I imagine 100,000? No, I couldn't imagine it all. But I will say this, when it came to every football game or every sport I ever played, the nervousness I felt, the queasiness, up until the first hit. Once that got out of the way,
it's gone. It's football.
Good. I am good to go. I know what I'm doing. But I felt that before every single game, every baseball game, until the first pitch. I was like, oh yeah, no, I can play. I can do this. And it felt that way every single time. So I don't know if it's that. I remember talking to a couple guys who have played, in the pros, and they said the exact same thing. It's like, dude, I threw it before every game. Like, I was that way every single time. But once that first play is out of the way, okay, I'm good. We're back
football.
At it.
It's just a sport, and I'm sure that's how it is. But still, when you think about some of these, like the NBA championships, these world games where you're talking the Super Bowl, I feel like that goes a little bit farther. And maybe it's not so much it's after the first hit they feel fine, but it's late in the game when you're down and you're like, dude, we're playing against the Chiefs here, and what are we going to do? I got to catch this ball because you get your number called. It's late in the game, and even Travis Kelce didn't get the ball. It was the other guy. And I can't remember his name, right? But he had to know.
Why can't we ever remember that dang backup tight end's name?
Whatever. Watson.
Watson. Yeah. It's always Gray or Watson.
Yeah. So like these guys are like, hey, no, I'm living in the moment and I'm capitalizing. But how easy would it have been for them to just turn their head a little too soon, right, and drop the ball like you see people do all the time?
Oh yeah, happens all the time. I think that
experience.
I get the reason why I'm talking about it is because there's two teams right now sitting at the top of the Western Conference in the NBA. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, I personally don't believe in the Timberwolves only because I've watched them crumble under pressure a lot. Now, and the team itself has not changed a whole lot. They have one guy on the team that's amazing, Anthony Edwards. The other guys on the team are good players. Karl Anthony Towns is one of those guys that you look at and say, he's not DeAndre Ayton. He's not. So I don't want people to think that I'm saying that. But he's of that vein where it's like, dude, you've got everything. What is going on in between the ears? And how come you just can't put it all together? I mean, this is a guy that could probably win a 3-point shooting contest, and he's 7 feet tall. Yeah. So, I mean, and he's a center, like legitimately. He's a legitimate center. And so you just think, okay, I don't know if I believe them, but I look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. They get thrown back all the time because they're a very young team. But I look at them and I think, dude, lots of very young teams have gone all the way. And you can't say they don't have experience until they have it. And you don't know what they're going to do until they've done it. I mean, I just think that the experience, when we write off contenders and say it's because they don't have any experience, I think that that's overblown. Because there's often times where I'm about to totally rip you. You look at the Cowboys and say, they got all the experience in the world and they know exactly how to blow it every single year.
You had to just dig, bro. It's still too soon, man.
Dude, it's over with, man.
On that note, I'm done. Like, I'm cashing out. I'm taking my drink and I'm walking away, Eric.
Sorry, dude. Didn't mean to, dig that deep.
Well, like fat kids in dodgeball, we're out.
He wasn't getting Stay Fresh cheese bags. The JJ and Pug Show theme song was written, composed, and performed by Lane Hartman. Special thanks to Highland Communities for all the support given to our show. You can find the JJ and Pug Show podcast wherever you do listen to podcasts. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Remember to share the show with your friends and family and subscribe wherever you do listen. If you're able to, please feel free to support us by sending a donation to us by going to ko-fi.com/the JJ and Pug Show. That is ko-fi.com/the JJ and Pug Show. Again, thank you so much, everybody, for all the support, whether that is by simply listening, whether that is sharing it with a friend, or giving us that sweet, sweet cash. We truly appreciate it all. Thank you so much.